with us so they can try things. Young Politics Podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Marcus,
Yeah.
why did you give me The Last of Us
Nick,
as a TV
I
series?
gave you The Last of Us
challenge.
because for a while, The Last of Us was one of my favorite video games, period. And I wanted to give it to you as a challenge at some point, but we never got around to it. I don't think Last of Us was ever a challenge, right?
Oh, no, but I played it.
Yeah. But we never got around to it. I wanted to talk to you about it in depth. Last of Us 2 also, you know.
I bought it. I still haven't started it.
Yes. So there was room to do something there for sure.
Yeah.
But I love the game. It was one of my favorite games for a long time. And then I kind of grew up, and I think that at the time it was probably the most cinematic game ever made. And I don't
Pretty
mean
close, yeah.
scene wise, because you got Metal Gear Solid, you got other stuff in there that had a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
But it was cinematic in the way that it told its stories. The
Yeah.
way that it treated the camera as though you're watching a film, the way that it kind of did something that was kind of unique at the time, where it told a lot of stories not in cutscenes. So a lot of the conversations you were having with Ellie and you're watching with Ellie and Joel were like, yes, there were a lot of cutscenes, but there's also a lot of times you had the controller in your hand, you're walking, and they were just having conversations, engaging with one another, interacting with the environment around them, discussing different topics, and that was really interesting to me. And it felt like Uncharted was very similar, but that's also by the same company,
Naughty Dog. Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, oh my god, like this is the future of gaming. Like this is what a lot of games are going to be. They're going to be a lot more cinematic in the future. And I think that The Last of Us really paved the way for that. And so when the TV show came out, I was like, oh wow, this is the exact perfect medium for this. I am very excited for a bunch of people to enjoy The Last of Us as well, who don't play video games. And I think for me personally, I think adaptations are a great place to get to tell the story of the moments in between, right? Like there are a lot of things that it can add. It can give more background to certain characters. You can tell different stories. You can tell additional stories from different perspectives. Like there's a lot you can do when you adapt something. And so I watched the show, I enjoyed it, and I wanted to share that with you.
Can I be honest with something?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling bull. I'm not.
Uh-huh.
I just would have guessed that you would have fallen on the other side of this conversation more so than the one you're falling on. It's just
What other side?
You're usually not this optimistic about the things you love.
You know
what I'm trying to say? Like
I feel
I thought you would be like, why are they going to make a show? Play the game.
No,
you know, there's two camps.
I'm not like that.
Two camps.
I get what you're saying, but I have never been like that. I feel like even with The Walking Dead, I love The Walking Dead. And when the show came out, I was like, oh, cool. More people will get to experience The Walking Dead.
That's true.
And then the show was bad. Or it wasn't my thing.
It was one of the biggest shows of all time. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, I guess so. But it wasn't my thing.
It doesn't need you on its side.
It wasn't my thing. And I feel like that led to me kind of like not.
That's not what I mean. You've always said that. You've always said you've
Yeah.
enjoyed more people getting to the medium. But I'm surprised at your optimism that you would like it. That's what I
Yes.
mean.
So for me, what happened was I watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
And the first 2 episodes are very similar to the game.
totally.
And for that reason, I almost didn't give it to you. But we had this kerfuffle with the Guyver. And I needed to give you something. And I was like, well, I enjoy this. And I think Nick will enjoy this. And then the 3rd episode came out. And the 3rd episode, I feel like everyone has been raving about. And for me, the 3rd episode, before I watched it, it sounded like what I was looking for. I was looking for the TV show to add more, to fill in the blanks. And so for the 3rd episode of The Last of Us, I was like, okay, I'm hearing good things. So I feel more comfortable giving this to Nick, even though I
Yeah,
hadn't watched the third episode before today.
I think that's exactly the reason you take that chance. I think that's exactly right. I just, you know what I mean? I was just surprised because I
Yeah.
think I have heard you. I know Walking Dead is your favorite thing. This is similar to Walking Dead. I remember when it came out, you're like, I'm glad people, you know, I'm super happy about it. Maybe more people read comics. I'm not watching it. You know, and not to knock anything about the show, just to talk about my history with it. I played the game. I actually just pulled out the game maybe 6 months ago and started it up again and played the first hour or two with Lexi. And my intention was for us to like play every night to like get through it because I bought the second one so I could play the second one.
Yeah.
It was too intense for her at night. Like she couldn't. It was one thing. It's one thing for me to ask her to watch Walking Dead, which we're slowly doing. It's another thing to ask her to control the characters right before she goes to bed.
Yeah.
And she like has nightmares. She like literally can't handle it. She didn't grow up on horror like we did, you know, or especially like you, but even me a little bit. So that didn't happen. But as I was excited about the casting, but like, it's like what you said. It's what you alluded to a little bit. Nothing about it demanded to be watched immediately for me.
Yeah.
Because it looked like the game.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since I played through the game. So like, it'll be nice to revisit. I don't remember most details, like if any, really, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I recognize the first two episodes very point blankly because I just did those first two episodes of the game. But after that, I don't remember. But from the promos, it has the same pastiche. It has the same color grade of like look. It has the same soundtrack. Everything looks. So I was like, oh. And I fell on the side that you usually fall on. Was like, I'm really glad people. And I even listened to a podcast, the film cast, and they were talking about the first two episodes. They were like, look, it's very competently made. I don't know why I have to watch it yet.
Yeah.
So it was on my back burner. I was going to watch it eventually, but then some guy over here didn't check to see if his challenge was available. So somebody had to go from slowly, and then I'm going to get off my high horse, slowly enjoying the show through his leisure, having to watch all three today, mostly on the train. And I am so lucky that most of episode 3 I was home for. But I felt I was so dreading it because I thought my experience of it would be completely tainted by the fact that I had to rush through it, the fact that I had to watch it in between my lessons. And I also have to like pull out my chess stuff, plan my lesson a little bit, watch the show, plan my lesson, because I usually use my train time to prep my lessons, you know, because it doesn't take a lot to prep my lessons, but I need like 10-15 minutes to like know what I'm going to do in the lesson. Or read through the story again. So it was a stressful day. But by the time we're here now, I have no regrets.
Good.
I am so glad I watched it.
Good.
And I think we should just get right into it because you're right. The first two episodes are very much, there are small changes. I think most of them just make sense for TV. They just streamline the story. But it is very much the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Marcus, don't you agree that if this show was any worse made, like even a little bit worse made than it is, then it wouldn't work. It wouldn't be engaging because you know everything. But for me, I thought the show was so competently made. Like it is visually very good. It is crisp storytelling. The editing's great. The camera movement is like, and I know they have a blueprint for it, but we've seen blueprinted movies and they haven't worked. Right? Like that. I'm sure some people are like, well, of course, they just did what's in the game. Yes, but most people can't pull that off.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they can't. But I really liked the first two episodes. I really, really dig them because I thought they were just so well done.
Yeah, I think the first two episodes are great TV. I think that the pacing, they adapted really well. I think that they figured it out. Neil Druckmann, after one of the episodes, the third one,
is that one of the directors?
Neil Druckmann is the creator of The Last of Us, and also one of the like writers on the show. Also,
oh no, I think he's credited as a director on the. Oh no, that's on the game. I see.
Yes.
Created by. Yes. You're right. Yeah. Written. Yeah, he helped write.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So Neil Druckmann, he said, look, because he's. I think that's another thing that's helping this, right? The game is very cinematic. It's very story focused, which makes it easy to adapt. They also have the creator of the game coming in to expand on the world that they created in the video
'Cause
game.
he knows it.
He knows it well and knows what worked the first time and what's not going to work the second time around. It's like you get a second chance at your story. That's kind of cool. And so because
rare.
of that, I think that he knows what he's doing. And he said that if it worked in the game and it would work on the same level in the show, he's going to keep it the same way it was in the game. And if they can improve something, they're going to try their best to improve it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what fans want, right? That's
there should be no changes for the sake of change.
Yeah. And we see that a lot sometimes, right? I mean, Velma, like, we don't have to get into it, but that's getting lambasted by everyone.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like it's changed for the sake of change.
Right? The problem with that, though, and it's not a big problem, is that there are moments when he's like, I slam dunked it the first time. Let's do it exactly the same again. like the whole scene with Pedro Pascal and they're the night of the infection. When we see it happen, Pedro Pascal grabs his daughter. It's shot for shot recreated from the game. And then the same thing all the way. That whole segment is like pretty much shot for shot the game.
But before it wasn't.
But before it wasn't. Sure. But that moment, the whole time I was thinking in my head, it was like, man, he's doing it again. He's like, I fucking did it great. Like, why would I change a single line? Why would I change anything when I fucking knocked it out of the park the first time?
I hope your opinion doesn't sour it for me, because I was sitting there watching the sequence happen beat for beat on the edge of my seat, Marcus. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, no, happen differently. No, please do it different. Please do it. No. And like, I got it. Listen, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson very famously are the bee's knees in the video game. They are top tier royalty for video game voiceover acting. They got tons of awards. That is like the pinnacle of doing it. So like having to come in after them, super hard. They can't do the parts because Ashley Johnson's too old. Troy Baker's too young. It wouldn't make any sense, but they like set the bar. What?
I mean, Pedro Pascal is Pedro Pascal. I feel like if Troy Baker's Troy Baker, like Troy Baker's a great voice actor. He does a great job. He did a great show. But Pedro Pascal is Pedro Pascal.
You're not letting me get there.
No, like he's had such a high fucking, he couldn't stand in the shadow of Troy Baker. Nah, it's Pedro Pascal.
Marcus, you completely like took away the point I was making. Because that was my point. Okay, well, Pedro Pascal was really good.
No, he was really good. I get your point was really good, but the way you said it was as if like they had these great shoes to fill.
He in the voiceover community, in the video game community, he does.
Yeah.
You disagree?
No, I mean
people like anytime I've ever heard anyone talk about them and that game,
yes,
they are the reason. They are the pinnacles. Everyone talks about wanting to do that again. Whatever. That's all I've seen from my perspective. So I'm sure.
Oh yeah, no, finish.
So before the show came out, that's what I was reading and hearing. Like, how are you going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And then this moment happens, which is like verbatim from the video games. Except I don't know it's verbatim for the video games because I thought Pedro Pascal did better. I thought when he was holding his daughter and he was saying like the way he was saying his words, I just was like, I was crying. I knew it was happening. I know it was coming. I've seen this before, just a couple months ago even, and yet Pedro Pascal made me cry again. Yeah. When I watched it with Lexi when we played the game, I was like, yeah, that sucks. Yeah, she's like, no, she's not about to. I was like, man, she's dying. That was my attitude. I watched the show. I'm tearing up.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. I feel like
I just realized my earbuds were in, and I thought everything was quiet.
Headphones?
Yeah, everything was really quiet.
I love that. Oh man, I forgot what I was gonna say about voice acting. Okay.
Pedestals
in Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
David Hayter had voiced Solid Snake for a million years.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, Hideo Kojima, he like really loves movies. So he just replaced David Hayter. It was this big controversy because he cast the guy from 24 because he was like, I want to work with like a real actor.
Kiefer Sutherland?
Yeah. He was like, I want to work with a real actor, basically. So
He's a really good actor.
kicked out David Hayter, who, by the way, is the lead in Guyver 2, and he replaced him with Kiefer Sutherland. They should do that with The Last of Us. Get rid of Troy Baker. Pedro Pascal is Joel, and it's gonna be. It's beautiful. It'll be.
That is what
perfect.
that is what happened. They could have put Joel. They could have put Troy Baker in makeup if they really, really, really wanted to.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Troy. I will say though, just to give kudos, I do love them both. Troy Baker is one of the only voice actors that can do Joel, and he does Batman, and he does the Joker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not a lot of people can do that. He is one of the best. But Pedro Pascal, I just thought, and it's hard because once again he's doing a part where it's like it would be so easy to do the bare minimum, to not do a lot, like the Mandalorian, right? Like there's so many moments he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Right? Joel is a man of few words, and yet every time he's on, I am captivated by the job he's doing. I believe everything he does. It's crazy.
It's funny because this is the Mandalorian again, right? Like I feel like this story, we keep seeing it in media. There's like an old man and a young child, and they go on an adventure. And it's yes and no. It's not the same. But watching Mandalorian and seeing Pedro Pascal do something similar to Joel and Ellie with Baby Yoda, I was like, he's got it. The second that it was announced, I was like, he's got it. He's got it in the bag. He's going to be a perfect Joel. He's going to crush
and he was. But to me, it's funny because I don't see any comparisons. I understand the comparisons. Like I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. It makes sense.
You also didn't watch season 2 of The Mandalorian.
That's
which is where all of this happens.
Okay, well,
I'm just saying that's
I'm just saying. I'm just saying in Mandalorian, to me, it's more of him finding out emotions exist, and this one, him finding out his emotions are dead. You know what I mean?
Well, no,
but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No. So I feel like what adaptations are hard, right?
Yeah.
So in the first 2 episodes, before we get to the third, because the third is a departure.
We're gonna talk.
We'll talk about the third on its own.
Let's talk about
the first 2 episodes. What I feel like is working for you in terms of an adaptation, and what isn't working for you in terms of an adaptation. Because I feel like for me, it was after the second episode, I was like, cool, I want to keep watching this, but I didn't care. Like if Daron was like, actually, I don't like this and I don't want to watch anymore, I probably would have just stopped watching.
I liked it better than you, I think, then. Because let me give you an example of both. Something that I really loved, adaptation-wise, something I really hated. Really loved. Again, a scene that was taken out almost verbatim was walking through the museum. Again, I just played through that, so I remember it. It's the same. It's the same. However, because it's so well made, there is legitimately tension. The monster, the action, it all like it. The way the way Pedro Pascal looks at Ellie and like says, "Not quiet, silent," and like they go through all that. I loved it. I was like captivated by it again. I will say 2 things I didn't like. One, I don't love. Number 1, because the game does this revolutionary thing where they're walking and talking a lot. The show does it.
Yeah.
And there are moments where I'm like, I know this is more real to life, but I kind of want you to be more of a TV show and a movie. And can you just sit down and have this important conversation so I can take it in for a second? Because you're like going but there is something cool about it, right? There's something cool where as they're hiking and picking stuff up and talking about this and that, there's also all these nuggets of important things. It's actually really cool and interesting. And honestly, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Like off the top of my head, I can't recall another show that really does that. I'm sure there are tons. I'm sure people will tell me, but most shows have a long shot of them walking, and then they get somewhere where they got to stop for water, or they got to do this, or where they sit down and have the conversation, right?
Yeah.
This one is a lot of moving, which makes it super dynamic, but the only thing, and this might be my fault, the only thing I can think of in those moments are, this is when I would be walking in the video.
It also works really well, though, because they are trying to survive. Like, are you really stopping to sit down and have a meal and have a hot conversation?
No.
Like, how often is that happening?
No. I mean, I'm in the 3rd or 4th season of Walking Dead with Lexi, and they're never walking and talking.
Yeah.
but they totally would be. They're got shit
Mhm.
to do.
Yeah.
They always stop, and honestly, that should pull me out of it because I'm like, there's things to do. Get up and do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the one thing that I didn't like. I know why it was there. I understand what they're doing. Was the Indonesia scene at the beginning of episode 2?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think I didn't like it for very real world things. The scene was honestly great. Like it was acted really good.
Yeah.
Christine Hakim was the doctor, and she did so good. That last speech to the general was so good. I really loved it. I
Mhm.
thought it was awesome. But this show has come out in a very peculiar time in history, right? Where it is not unlike what started to happen here. Obviously, it's a different disease, but
Mhm.
there are things happening that you can't help but parallel against it, right?
Yeah.
And I think I just couldn't help but think about how there could be someone who would watch this and think that here's another pandemic starting in an Asian country, you know?
I
that
don't think
for
that
that
that's yeah.
100%. I don't think anybody meant to do it.
That's not what they're
I
saying
just
at all.
know that there are people who feel that way.
Yeah.
And there has been crimes and atrocities done to people because of that. And I just don't know if I wanted to watch this scene right now
Mhm.
because of how early and prevalent it is in my mind. And I couldn't help but think about the people who would watch that and think, yup, you know what I mean? And that's nobody's
Yeah.
fault who made it. They didn't, again, the scene was good and it makes sense to have it. And I thought it was handled really well. And it was a nice look at the start of all this. It was cool.
Yeah.
And I know it's a personal thing for me. I didn't enjoy watching that right now because of that.
I see
That's all.
that. I see
Yeah.
that. I can
Yeah,
see
they
that.
handled
but
it, I think, as good as
I
as
think,
good as they could.
yeah, in my head, I saw it as like, oh, this is like one of the best people at this who studies this kind of thing. Let's bring her in to study. And I wouldn't be
Sure.
surprised if more episodes down the line we see other countries and their early reactions to
I
the
hope not.
thing.
I hope not.
Interesting to see.
I hope not. I think Robert Kirkman nailed it on the head when he made Walking Dead, and he said no one gives a shit how they started. We care about what we do now. And like very famously, Walking Dead does
Yeah,
not deal
I
with any of
agree.
it. And then one of the worst episodes in season 1 of The Walking Dead is when they go to the CDC.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Yep.
I forgot they did that.
They did this. They did it way worse than what
Yes,
Last of
yes,
Us just
yes,
did.
yes.
But it is the same thing. It
Yeah.
is classic TV movie writers thinking you have to explain it.
And no one
And
cares.
exactly.
No one cares.
Yeah. I think if we see the doctor again, if she is a Firefly or somebody important, if at the end of the show, she's one of the doctors in the lab that we know what happens at the end, honestly, brilliant.
Yeah.
Would
yeah.
love that. But as of now, I don't care about that stuff. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
she might be
I was
important later,
worried,
too,
and I was
you're right.
super worried when I saw it.
Yeah.
Because all I could think of was the CDC and The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the worst episodes of that show.
Yeah, because I mean, look, at the end of the game, right? You're trying to find a cure.
wanna
The
spoil
whole
it?
thing
You
is
wanna spoil
the whole thing. You're trying to find a cure. I don't want to spoil the game.
Oh, sure.
The whole thing, you're trying to find a cure. So if they brought her back and she was one of the people working on the cure or something like that,
I would love that.
it would also lend
worth it.
some more believability to the fact that there is a cure, because there's a lot of discourse right now online about the person who was in charge of creating the cure at the end of
Yeah.
the first game and whether or not they were a competent doctor. So this would at least maybe lend some background to that person. Be like, actually, they are competent. They did know what they're doing. So they maybe
I don't
could have
know.
possibly come up with the cure.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Does that have to do with the second game?
I'm trying to be vague because it has to do with the second game
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and the
please say no
first
more.
game. At the end of the first game.
Yeah, I don't remember the fucking end of
Okay.
the game.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so long ago.
I'm just saying. I don't want to spoil
Yeah.
anything, but
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if she comes back.
Yeah, but again, it was very. I would then I will have enjoyed it more
Mm-hmm.
because I thought she did a great job.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to see the cause of it.
Fair.
I thought when Joel in the second episode said what happened, where it's like they think he got in the food supply and this and that.
Yeah, that was great.
That was great.
That's
and again,
enough.
Pedro Pascal is so good.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just giving us information.
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like it with especially with zombie stuff and plague and all that stuff. We don't know. It doesn't matter. We understand how it works. We've
Yeah.
seen zombies before. You bite somebody, you get it, but this time it's fungus. Understand. And they actually changed something about the fungus
Fungus.
because in
Yeah.
the game it was spores that were airborne, but in reality, that would have killed everybody in like a week. And everyone would have been dead and there would be no more people.
Well, no, that's what I was going to ask you. I don't know if it was a meme or people were just saying it, but I heard through the grapevine that the reason they don't, because in the game, there's a puff of smoke, or no, a puff of spores that are just in a little area
Uh-huh.
and you have to be there. But
Yeah.
once you're out of that area, you're fine. But none of that's in the show. And I don't know if it was a meme or if it was a real thing where it's because Pedro Pascal didn't want to wear a mask anymore.
That's a meme. That's a meme. What I'm telling you is from the creators of the show. They said that they
That's what
changed
they
it
said?
because they talked to scientists, and the scientists said that if the spores were airborne in the way that it was in the show, it wouldn't be like confined to one basement area that you have to walk in slowly with a mask. It would spread and everyone would have been dead.
I get that, but I do think that it feels like a missed opportunity because some of those spore sections of the game
Uh-huh.
are like very riveting and like the tense and like cool looking visually. So I do miss that a little bit,
but
I
also
don't miss it so
I
much.
feel like for me, what I miss, what I'm gonna miss, and what I hope is in the show is boss monsters. Because I feel like The Last of Us has the occasional like zombie that is the boss zombie that is like mutated or fused.
Yeah.
Guys, something super gross and weird and strong. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. You might get it though, because they did allude to something. Remember when Ellie was asking about different kinds of zombies?
Oh,
And they were
yes,
like,
yes,
no,
yes.
those don't exist. That kind of makes me think that we might get one or two.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is cool.
I feel like
which will be really cool.
I also respect, having watched The Guyver and having watched this, I feel like I respect the fact that they don't wink and nod to the video game thing a million times. I feel like whenever they're adapting anime, whenever they're adapting games or anything, there's like constant wink and nods. Be like, we know this is based on a game. Let's just ham fist something in, or like, oh, it's supposed to be campy. And it's like, okay, or you can just make it good. Or you could just write a compelling narrative that matches the tone of the original thing. And just because it's a video game doesn't mean it's for kids and you have to add wacky characters to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I didn't feel almost any wink and nods. Just to ask you, Marcus, in the game is really cool because since you are allowed to kind of walk around at the beginning, you kind of explore as little or as much as you want to like take in this world. There are things going on. People are getting beaten up. That's not what happens in the show. The show shows it to us.
Yeah.
Do you like all the things in the first episode after like Joel going here, Joel going there, you seeing stuff?
I think what makes this an easier adaptation than other things is that in the game, you are railroaded hard. Like there is no exploration that you can really do. Like you can look around a room, a small area, but you're not walking and exploring in the way that you like are in other video games.
But you can skip the little things,
Yes. Yeah. So the fact that they were able to capture, I don't know. What was your question again? I forgot entirely.
I'm gonna let you figure it out.
No, come on.
No, I was just saying we don't get that because this is a TV show. Did you like the way they tried to show the world at the beginning with Joel?
Yes.
Him running, him going here, meeting this person.
Yes.
Seeing the
I like the way that they showed the world, but
stuff.
also it's not that hard to show the world because we weren't shown the world really in the games either.
That's true, but I thought they handled it really well. Like I thought Joel making that exchange with that guard, that wasn't part of the games, was it?
No, I mean, they changed like little things here and there, but that's not that big of a change. He was already, he had a deal in place.
But we got to see it.
Well,
right?
I mean, the whole beginning of the game is you doing a deal with somebody. It's just in this one, the Fireflies already killed him, so they kind of skipped that part.
No, not that. I'm talking about the guard. I'm talking about when he talked to
specifically,
the army guy.
You do not see him selling drugs to a guard. No.
And I really like that.
Okay.
Because that was what I was trying to get to. I really liked it because I thought Pedro Pascal, when he's talking to the guard, you get Joel's charisma, ingenuity, his ability. Like they're like making him out to be like he was already at the beginning. He was just like a contractor. He was just like working hard, and you're like, cool, he's a hard worker. But like that's good ways to sprinkle in. He's good with people. He's good at making a deal. He's good at being no bullshit. Like all those little things throughout those interactions, like really set up. Because after that beginning, Marcus, we haven't gotten any Joel.
Yeah.
Joel hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Really. But why am I still on his side? I like him still. And
It's
I'm like
just-
rooting for him still.
I feel like Pedro Pascal, his casting too, is carrying a lot of that weight because Joel hasn't
Yeah.
really done a lot. Ellie hasn't really done a lot. It feels like you're speed running a little bit because there's a couple of
little bit.
hours of video game play before we get to the part where Tess dies. So
Yeah.
you're like, you just speed ran that part. You're not getting to see them bonding as much.
Yeah.
And then third episode happens, and now it seems like fourth episode going forward, we're gonna get like, okay, it's the Joel and Ellie show, and they're gonna bond, and we're gonna start to see that
Maybe, or maybe they're
relationship.
gonna just keep doing weird shit and we don't ever get that.
Oh,
and
God,
then
that
we'll
would
probably
suck.
complain about how much the show sucks. But
It's true.
it's just crazy to me because the game is them, their relationship, their dynamic, and the two of them. Us
Yeah,
falling in love with the two of them. The game does not
Yeah.
work if you do not fall in love with Joel and Ellie. Right?
that's important casting. Yeah.
And I'm just giving another kudo to the show because I'm falling for these people. I like Ellie. I like
Mhm.
Joel. It's just they haven't done anything yet. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I like Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal, because I played the games already. I'm not sure.
I'm giving,
like-
yeah, I feel like you're giving them a lot of like
I am.
room to grow because you know what the content is going to be and where the ending
Maybe.
place is. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
do you
feel
think
like-
of Bella Ramsey? Oh, so finish your point first. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I feel like we got really lucky with this adaptation. But we don't always get lucky with adaptations of video games. So maybe we should test your knowledge.
No, let's talk about Bella Ramsey. What do you think of Bella Ramsey? I think sometimes she legitimately sounds like Ellie from the games.
I
And
feel like-
it's like baffling to me.
I think that she's doing a great job as an annoying kid who eventually I'm going to love. Yeah.
I totally agree. Totally agree. I can tell there's a sharpness there underneath that I'm excited to get to. And she's doing
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And I mean, single-handedly, that actress has made me care about House Mormon.
Yes. Yes.
Single-handedly.
That's true.
She was one of the best parts of that season. I loved her so much. So I'm really excited to see what she does as the show progresses.
Mm-hmm. No,
But Marcus,
agreed.
third episode changed.
Oh, change the
everything about-
game. Change the game. Third
Changed
episode
everything.
was everything I want out of an adaptation. It was beautiful. I cried so hard.
I cried multiple different sections. I cried when they met. I cried when the one guy got shot. I cried at the last meal. I cried a lot
Mhm.
at this episode.
Mhm.
But principally, it is just about Joel mentions in passing Bill or Frank or both of them. And that's the next place that they got to go. And then cut to 20 years ago, you see Nick Offerman. And right away, I'm into it. Like, it's filmed so good. It's
Yeah.
done so well. It's just Nick Offerman being a doomsday prepper.
Mhm.
And he is just, everyone has left town. So he's like, okay. And he's just going to store to store, going to the natural gas
Yeah.
plant and breaking it open and stealing the gas. He just like knows exactly what he's
Mhm.
doing, and it's really fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. I feel like it's Nick Offerman too. So you have
Yes.
this like preconceived notion about him where you're like,
Mhm.
okay, this guy, you see a guy in a basement, doomsday prepper with a bunch of guns. You're like, okay, this is like an alt-right guy. But then it's Nick Offerman. So you're like, okay,
So it's like
maybe.
he is like
I like
the
Nick Offerman.
epitome of what I want out of a doomsday prepper.
Yes. I feel like
They don't trust the government. They
Mm-hmm.
think JFK was assassinated by the FBI. They think, they might even disagree with some vaccine stuff, but like
Yeah.
they got a lot of heart.
I don't
And-
think many actors could have pulled off being likable and a doomsday prepper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Offerman, he's so good.
Yeah,
He's so
one
good.
of those things
And I
would have
was
suffered
worried.
as in believability. It's like, okay, well, he's
Yeah.
not that likable, or okay, well, like he's not really a doomsday prepper, you know?
I was worried when I saw him because I was like, I feel like he's going to be distracting. He's such a good actor. I love him so much. I was like, but let me watch. And as I was watching, I was instantly like on his side, on Bill's side about, yes, just living his life, hanging out, setting traps. It was fun.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make post-apocalyptic like stuff? It felt like that one movie with Brendan Fraser when they were doomsday preppers with Christopher Walken was his dad. It was like
yes.
fun doomsday prepping, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is so nice.
Yeah,
And then Frank shows up.
It maybe he's sympathetic. I was like, man, I could see myself doomsday prepping. I could see.
Honestly,
you never
I'm
know.
like, why don't I have
never
stuff
know.
in a basement?
Yeah,
Why don't I?
Why is my
you know?
basement full of like gasoline and vegetables?
I can have a couple chickens,
Yeah.
and then Frank shows up.
And then
then
Frank
Frank
shows
shows
up. So this guy has Doomsday prepped. He's prepared his whole thing. And Bill is a character from the comics, from the game. He's someone that they meet and they kind of are around with for a little bit. I think he dies eventually.
He's just a random NPC that helps them get from A to B, because I don't remember him
He's like an important NPC because there's not that many. There's Tess, and then she dies, and then there's Bill, and then he dies, and then there's Joel's brother.
There was also one dude with like a son who's important.
Yes. That's
yes.
That's
the only other one I
We'll
remember.
see them also.
I'm
for
sure.
sure.
But
okay. that's another person that they run to. But they run into several people throughout their journey, and then they kind of like grow stronger through their interactions with other people as well. And also spices up the gameplay, so you're not just watching the same two people talk the whole time. So Bill's one of those people, and I did not expect this. That you get this whole background story with Bill, and then you don't even see Bill continue in the TV show.
90% of this episode was just Bill, and then also Frank, and I was floored. Right away it was a delight, but they did this in the first episode. They cut to somebody and then they cut back, and I was like, great, we're gonna see them. And then we just didn't leave him. Yeah. And I appreciated it so much that they took their time telling this. They did not need to spend 80-90% of the episode doing this. They didn't.
No.
They probably shouldn't have. If you read any books on screenwriting or making television shows. Oh, you know what though? Another time I can think of that they did something similar that really, really worked. Do you remember Master of None?
Yes.
There was one episode, because that was Aziz Ansari's show. He was in every episode, but then there was one episode.
They do this a lot in shows now.
I can't remember another time that it was successfully done that I really liked it.
Mythic Quest.
Besides Mister.
Has done it.
Mythic Quest?
Mythic Quest.
Yeah,
TV show created on Apple TV, which, you know, Yeah.
I'm just glad you're one of the 16 people watching it.
Well, it's getting a third season. It's people watch it.
Apple has screw you money. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they have on both seasons, they have an episode that's a departure from what they normally do. You're not following the main characters in the typical
Scrubs
fashion.
does it sometimes.
Yeah. It's been done before, but
sure.
Not always done
different.
well. All three seasons
felt different.
have done it.
This felt very different.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very different because it I don't know why it felt. Why did it feel so different?
This felt different in the same way that the Mythic Quest episode, that is my favorite episode. It's one of my favorite episodes of TV ever. I feel like it was different in that way, where it was like, okay, we're going to take a break, but it is going to lend itself to the overall themes. It doesn't feel completely apart from the show entirely of the episode. And you're going to see the main characters kind of weaved in and out of it. And they just told a good story. I think that there's something beautiful and simple about taking characters and just saying, okay, what story can we tell with them? Let's extrapolate from this one interaction, this one little line that we got in the game, and let's grow from there. And it worked really well.
I think also the show is kind of, again, coming out at the right time. Post 10 seasons of Walking Dead, if this same thing happened in Walking Dead, when Frank shows up and he's in that trap and Bill lets him out and trusts him in his home and gives him a meal and lets him have a warm bath, we are conditioned to think that something was going to happen. And maybe you disagree with me, but that whole time I was sitting there, I was waiting. I was looking for something wrong. I was looking for the question that wasn't answered correctly. I was looking for the quick draw of the gun. I was looking for someone to let their guard down.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, not when Frank played the piano, but when Nick Offerman, when Bill played the piano, that I was like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
You know? Because when
I knew they were gonna bone down.
Well, I thought that, but I also been conditioned. So I was waiting. I was like, see, someone's gonna do something. Someone here is evil. Bill actually eats people. Frank has a whole squad of people outside ready to invade. Like, that's what I'm conditioned to think. And yet, when Frank sat down to play the piano, he's lingering a little too long. It's that barbarian thing. I'm like, what's gonna happen? But when the show takes the time to have Bill say that's not how you do it and do it himself. Yeah. And have Nick Offerman. This is the first moment I cried. When Nick Offerman sang a gut-wrenching love song in the apocalypse about not having someone. And the only reason Bill is alive is because he put everyone at a distance. And yes, that let him survive, but at like what cost?
Yeah.
And that's a whole theme for the whole show. Like, what's the point of living if you don't have people to live? Like that's Joel's whole shtick. Like he's been living for 20 years, but the whole like the thing you grow to learn by the end of the show is he hasn't been living for 20 years. Like,
Mhm.
right? He's been dead.
Yeah.
And like him finding a reason to live again is like the point of it, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. Wow. You beautifully summarized exactly what that was about and the importance of the episode.
Oh, and it was just so goddamn cute, Marcus. That
Oh God, it was cute.
you know,
Seeing Nick Offerman, who's always this buff, burly, sort of like manly man character.
I make things out of wood.
Yeah, and his real life personality is kind of like that. Seeing him be so vulnerable, you know, when like they're about to have sex. I almost said make love because that's how tender it was. But they were about to make love in the bed, and he's like
Yeah.
shy and sheepish, and a lot
Oh.
of times he's like hunched over, and you can see he's uncomfortable with
Oh.
himself, with Frank
So
being
good.
around. Oh God, it's so good.
I don't rewatch a lot of things for acting,
Mhm.
right? Because I see it, I get it. I have to find my own things in acting. But as I was watching Bill, the thing Nick Offerman was doing with his body, with his movement, with his walk, his cadence of speech, like it was the best I've ever seen Nick Offerman. I've always loved him. I thought he was great in like the El Royale movie with Chris Hemsworth. I've seen obviously Parks and Rec has
I
been
forgot
good.
he was in that movie.
He was in The Founder with Michael Keaton as one of the original McDonald's guys. Like I've seen him around a lot, but he took my breath away with how much he was Bill in this thing. And it was all in those little moments of like not knowing how to shy away from Frank and not wanting to, but not knowing how to do it. And like the little moments when Frank surprised him with strawberries and Nick Offerman ate one and giggled like a little girl. It was so genuine. And like it could have been silly, but it wasn't. It was heartbursting, you know?
Yeah.
And when Bill has something to fight for, right? He has that line later about I wasn't scared before, but now I'm scared, you know?
Yeah, it's relatable.
Yeah.
That line got me. I feel like so many moments of this episode just got me where I was like, oh,
yeah,
my heart, it is painful to care about another person. It is hard to let people in. And this person shut out the world, and they're finally found someone to let in, and they're changing their world and they're opening it up, and that's scary too.
And then the show has the balls. It has the balls to not just do all that, because Marcus, they could have done that and then cut to the present and we would have loved it. We would have been gushing about it. We still would have been raving about it. But instead of doing that, then they cut only a couple more years, where 3 years later, where Frank wants to paint the fence so they can maybe make a friend, and they're having like a couples dispute on their front lawn about painting the fence and about how he wants to fix up the boutique, and Bill's like, what? And it's like so genuine and honest and real. Ugh.
Yeah, no, I love that. And then also the fact that like, you know, they have the dinner with Joel. It's tense, it's awkward,
so
but it's
good.
kind of funny.
Yeah, it is.
And then you also get the sense that like, you know, Joel is there and Joel respects him, and Joel is like sees a little bit of himself in Bill, and they get each other.
Yeah.
And he warns him about raiders, and I was like, oh, this is how Frank dies. Like this whole time, I'm like, Frank dies, but Nick Offerman lives.
I thought Bill dies because maybe I wasn't listening, but I only remember Joel saying we need to go see Frank. Maybe he said Frank and Bill.
He
Did
said
say
Frank and
Bill?
Bill. Yes.
I only remember Frank, so the whole time I thought Bill was dying.
Got it.
So, which honestly painted it even cooler for me. But I just misheard.
But I knew Bill was in the game, and I knew Nick Offerman was Bill. The show pulled the rug from under us too a little bit, because all the casting stuff with Bill and Nick Offerman as Bill has shown him young. It was young Bill. And you're like, okay, cool. It's just like, oh, it's going to be, I mean, not young, but you know what I mean?
It's just Nick Offerman as he is now.
Yes, exactly. So that's all we saw. And then all of a sudden we get this, and it's like, oh, he's getting older. Oh, he's older than all the promotional material I'm seeing in it. This is weird.
He was just in this episode. It's fucking beautiful. And then when the Raider moment happens, I was sure Bill was dying, so I cried again. I was sure. It was, and I would have been happy. Again, the show could have stopped there and cut to meeting Frank later. But no, the show is like, no. We're telling you their whole story. Cut to cut to present day almost. Like a couple months out from where we're at with Joel and Ellie. And fucking Frank's dying of cancer. And can't paint anymore and has to be wheeled around. And Nick Offerman, Bill, is old and he's trying to like take care of him. And and then when Frank tells him, I'm gonna cry thinking about it. When Frank tells them that this is gonna be my last day, and tells him what he wants from the day, and says, we're gonna go to the boutique, and you're gonna wear what I tell you to, and we're gonna get married. And I'm going to have one last glass of wine, and you're going to put the pills in it.
Oh, yeah.
It was so beautiful. I'm crying now. I was a wreck.
Yeah.
That whole last day.
Yeah. No, it was beautiful to watch them, to watch the silence. You didn't really hear what they were saying. You were just watching them go through the day. You saw him give the list of what they were doing for the day, and then the conversation at the end. And like, even like watching it, I feel like watching that, the second he starts to pour that bottle, I'm like, oh, he's killing himself too.
Yeah.
God,
I knew he was going to kill
beautiful.
himself. I didn't know how, but
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But of course, like your partner is
of course.
suffering and they're going and you're old and it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to survive, be alone again? I don't want to be alone again. Oh
It
man.
was so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darren, I'm also really glad that I started that episode on the train. In the last like 30 or so minutes I got to watch at home. I'm very glad.
Okay, were you just crying like while watching at home, and Lexi was like, what the hell is going on?
Yes, she like wasn't. It was so weird because she wasn't paying attention for a second because I was crying, but then I had a big like moment, and she's like, "Are you crying?" And she looked over, and I'm just like, "Yes, I'm crying." It was so bad.
Oh man, I was crying.
I'm still sniveling.
I was tearing up that whole episode, but that end, I was done.
The writing, the filming, Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett, I just looked at his name. They were pitch perfect.
Yeah.
I mean,
they showed a vulnerability that is hard to convey. Like Frank and their level of intimacy with one another. It felt like you were getting to see private moments of a real couple, and it felt raw, and beautiful. And I was so impressed.
Yeah, and it just like this show. There's a lot of people that aren't going to watch Last of Us, and I can't blame them because I get not wanting to watch another post-apocalyptic show, another dour show, another show when civilization's over and it's bleak and the whole show is just bleak.
Yeah.
But the show this is why the show might have a chance to be amazing, because the show realizes that and remembers to teach us that the reason we're looking at the end of humanity is to remind us what humanity is. And this episode tells you in no uncertain terms, without any cynicism or irony, this is why we live. This is why we do this thing.
Yeah.
And kudos to the show, man. Just kudos to the show.
Yeah.
Not a lot of shows do it.
No, it was beautiful. And I think that it's so funny like comparing this to other shows, because it feels like I don't know what it is about this show, and maybe it's because they have a game and the game has all the merch or whatever, but it doesn't feel like they're trying to sell something to us. I feel like with The Walking Dead, characters were kept alive because they're fan favorites, we have to keep them. We need to sell more toys, so we're gonna keep more characters alive longer. And
we hired this actor who's getting more and more famous.
Exactly. And it's like, why they were keeping people around for the sake of keeping people around. And this show literally did the opposite. You had a character that was alive and you were just like, no, let's tell a fucking great story. And he's going to have to die at the end of it.
I'm so excited now that I'm caught up with the show because I really want to hear them talk about this episode. I want to read articles. I want to hear the Neil Druckmann talk about how they got here, because this was just, it was surreal. It was surreal that I was watching what I was watching. It felt so real. Like so many of these shows so many shows nowadays. I feel like I'm a pretty good suspension of disbeliever, right? Like I suspend pretty good, but like now for the show, I feel like I don't need to right now. Right now, I'm so in the world. I'm so in like the happenstance of what's happening. And then the culmination of then we're back to Joel and Ellie and they
Yeah.
arrive at the house. And like, again, most shows would have Joel upset. Get in the room.
Yeah.
Do this, do that. The show let itself be so quiet and real, because this is how Joel wouldn't cry or burst in. He would react the way he is. Ellie would be uncomfortable and not know what to say in that moment at that same moment. Like it was so real and honest about how it happened. And like the letter from Bill, I was just like, yeah, that's Bill. That's exactly what Bill would say.
Yeah.
You know, and it's still trying to be a little funny. And as Bill says, you know, I wasn't your friend, but I respected you. You know,
Yeah.
And it was just,
or when he put the he.
yeah. And Ellie kind of sounded like Nick Offerman
yeah.
laughing a little bit.
Yeah.
It was very funny. It was and like it made it so real and honest. You know?
Yeah, I think that's also when you are true to like characters, when you're true to story development, I feel like stuff like this comes out and it is accepted widely by fans too, right? I feel like being beholden to what fans' expectations are is a difficult thing when making an adaptation, but this episode is one of the most beloved episodes I've seen recently of any adaptation, and it's completely different than what happened in the game, and that's okay to do. And
lends itself to the spirit of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like the spirit of the game is this.
Yeah.
Finding humanity in nothing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The Last of Us. You know?
Yeah. So beautiful.
I have nothing left to say.
So beautiful. So beautiful. I'm glad you watched it. I'm sorry that you had to watch it all in one day on the train.
I'm not at all.
I'm sorry you didn't get to watch The Guyver. I mean, you really like what?
I have no regrets about my day. I have no regrets about my day.
You would have had a toss up. What would have been better, The Guyver or The Last of Us?
No regrets about my day. None at all.
Good. I'm glad. Okay, Nick, you ready?
Yep.
Next week we have our Patreon fan challenge episode.
Marcus, we have Patreon fan challenges? What's that?
Oh my God, Nick, on patreon.com/nowtrythiscast, you can join and influence the challenges. Okay, we got plenty of newcomers all the time, but we need you to come onto the website and vote on what you want us to do. A $5 tier, we got 2 tiers. Happy to accept everyone to any tier, but the $5 tier, you can submit challenges, and every month we gather those challenges together, create a poll on the Patreon website, and you can vote. $5 tier can vote, and anyone at the $1 tier can vote.
That's right.
Nice. And next week is our Patreon fan challenge, and it is March Comes Like a Lion. We have to watch the first 11 episodes, I think.
We have to.
I mean, that's what we were told. I think he said it's okay if we could only make it to 7 or 9 or something, but 11 was
that's 242 minutes.
That's not that many.
It's 4 hours.
It's 4 hours.
That was almost as much last night yesterday. So
well, we got a week.
I guess it's not that bad.
Plenty. Look, you watch
this time I got a week.
Get a week this time.
Not half a day. All right, fine. This comes from Old Man Ram, and he's been good to us, so we will do the 11 episodes he says we have to. I guess. I'm not happy about it.
I'm sure it'll be good. It looks like
I'm sure it's gonna be great.
That's
just a lot of hours. All right, next week, March Comes In Like a Lion.
Yeah, and if you are mad about that, head over to our Patreon, and the reason we're doing it is because you didn't vote. You didn't submit it.
It was tight. It was a tight race. Something. It could have been a lot of other things.
Yeah, but it wasn't, because you're not a Patreon member.
A Sandra Bullock rom-com almost won, and I'm almost a little disappointed it didn't.
I'm happy it didn't win.
We haven't done a lot of Sandra Bullock on the show, and she's
fair,
quintessential.
But I watched that movie
rom-coms
recently, and I did not want to watch it again that soon.
It was so good.
It was fun.
Marcus, ask me some questions.
Nick, did you like The Last of Us?
Oh, the Walking Slip.
The Walking of Us.
Slip.
Those of us who can walk. Did you like that show?
Yes, I did. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I thought it was too ableist. Nick, would you
It's so specific.
Would you recommend the show?
Yeah, I think
Nice.
this show is honestly even easier to watch than Walking Dead was back in the day. Like Walking Dead, I think was everyone's like foray into genre TV and to zombies and a horror TV show. A lot of people freaking loved it. I think this show's easier to watch. I think it's better than that was, at least at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
Yeah.
it's more dynamic. It's filmed better. The graphics and everything. Just, I think everyone should totally watch the show.
Yeah. And will you continue watching The Last of Us?
Definitely. Do you know what days it comes out? Because I'm going to tell Alexa
Saturday or
to go
Sunday or
catch up
something.
because I am very excited to see what's next. I
think
mean,
it's Sunday because I wasn't planning on watching this third episode until like later because I was like, oh, I have all week. Sunday
Sundays
at
at
9.
honestly, I wouldn't be mad if it was a watching live thing like Game of Thrones was for me because it's been a while since I've had a show like that, and I would totally be okay with this being that because for this show to take that big of a swing when it doesn't need to. It's The Last of Us. People were watching it.
Yeah.
It's HBO. People were going to Pedro Pascal. This had everything it needed to cruise along. And this third episode said they are not resting on their laurels.
Yeah.
And that is so exciting to me.
Yeah. I think that exactly is right because so many adaptations just rely on the fans being hungry for content and they're just assume they're going to go watch it no matter what. They crap out. And this respects the fans. And I like that.
Yeah. Well, Marcus, if people want to watch us live, they can go to twitch.tv/nowtrythiscast every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have been streaming other games, other things, so please check us out on Twitch. But if you really want to join the community, let us know. We would love to start a Discord and do more things, but we need more of you on patreon.com/nowtrythiscast. And if you can't do that, you can't give us money, if you don't have Twitch, we totally understand. But wherever you are listening to this, whether it be YouTube, podcast feed, from your roommate's computer down the hall, leave a review, rate it, leave a comment, do something interactive with it some way, just so we know that you're listening and what you want to hear more of.
Yes, that's how I listen to all my podcasts. I put a cup to my ear and I put it by the neighbor's front door and I listen to their podcast.
That's how. Yep. Yep.
Yes, and guys, thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Remember to go out there, try some things. Good night.
Good night.
Friends get together so that they can try things. Yell about it, it's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Hello, and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together every week to try something new. I'm Marcus, and that's Nick.
Hello, I am Nick. I am here. We are podcasting, bros.
We need your audio. Hold on.
Ah.
Uh-oh. Let's see what happened.
Oh, I probably know what happened. I do know what happened.
Okay.
There it is.
Nick's,
is that the audio?
yeah, there's the audio. Let's go.
Hello, my name is Nick. My audio is back. This is Now Try This. Challenge each other. What does that mean? That means that feeling deep down in your loins where you don't get to share something you love with someone.
Deep down.
We made a podcast, so you have to. That's right. We got sick of telling, hey, Nick, watch this horror movie. Hey, Marcus, try this cartoon. Try this rom-com. We got sick of it. So we said, fuck you. Shit. Damn it. Ah.
Okay, and now we have to restart the whole podcast because Nick cursed within the first how many seconds?
Do it again. Do the intro again. I'm gonna redo it. Redo it.
Okay, we're redoing it.
Redo it. No, yeah, please.
Do you want me to go out again? Do you want me to go out?
That would be super helpful for my editing. Yes, get out and come back in. Yes, thank you so much. We'll be right back. It's so hard. Oh God.
Okay, ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.